into the waiting room. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen and we can get started. So, welcome everyone to the final day of Talk Money Week. Hasn't time flown by? I'm sure you're all going to be glad next week when you don't have to log in and listen to me every morning. But seriously, can I just start by saying thank you to everyone for your support this week. I did have visions of doing this every morning and just seeing Susan and her dog. So having up to 20 people today logging in has been really appreciated. So thank you very much for that. Oh, I think we're up to 23 now. Wow. As hopefully most of you are aware, it is Friday the 13th and there will be links through to videos in this presentation. So if it goes wrong, then I'm going to blame that, okay? Today we're going to be looking at continuous improvement, which although somewhat sounds like something that David Brent may say, then it is actually about improvements that we're looking to make for both the client and those providing the advice. As always, a little bit of Zoom etiquette to begin. So can I ask anyone who's not already on mute to go on to mute? We'll be having the usual Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So if anybody has any questions or comments during the presentation or at the end, then please enter it into the chat box. As you can see from the start, we've been recording the presentation as we have done for each of the presentations since Tuesday of this week, and both the recording and the slides will be made available on our new website from next week for people to look back on, or if they haven't been able to attend any of the sessions, then to catch up. Okay, so without any further ado, continuous improvement. So this does essentially exactly what it says on the tin. It's the ongoing improvement of products or services or processes through either incremental or breakthrough improvements. These efforts can seek incremental improvement over time or breakthrough improvement all at once. And today we're going to look at 3 areas of continuous improvement that we've been focusing on over up to the last year or so now. We've got breakthrough improvements with Flex and Embark, and we've got incremental improvement with the work that we've been doing around case recording. So starting out with Flex. Flex is an omnichannel platform. Omnichannel itself may be a slightly uncommon phrase, and it's probably either a bit more managerial speak, or being a scholar of Latin myself, or at least a GCSE anyway, it means all or every. The prefix, I would say, is most often heard when describing religious deities. So omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent may hark you back to your childhood. However, what it means to us is the provision of a service by more than one means, and has been commonly used in the retail setting over the past few years to describe the goods being sold in store, by telephone, and online. For us, it will be a mixture of provision of advice through face-to-face, through telephone, through email, through web chat, through SMS, or WhatsApp messaging. And when you think about it, we've been doing this as advisors for years. For example, when a client comes in, you advise them face-to-face, and then you may deal with them afterwards by email, by telephone conversations, or certainly through Advice Pro in the last couple of years, through text message as well. That is an omni-channel service. This isn't anything particularly rocket science behind it, but the major change is probably the software and that first up contact with the service. So our focus today is omnichannel at that first stage of advice, which has become all the more relevant since the outbreak of the pandemic and lockdown began in March. However, prior to that, MAPS have been developing their version of Omnichannel through the PACE pilot since, I think it was July last year, when I was in what felt like an absolute hot box of a room in Pimlico in London, when they were going through it for the first time. However, what we now have is the opportunity ourselves to advise through multiple channels with that same software provider, Siptex, and their Flex system. The advantage of using that same system is it will allow for a tie-in eventually with MAPS's PACE system, so that in time, if a client from our area accesses advice or is referred by a creditor into MAPS's PACE system, then we wouldn't lose that client into the abyss of national providers such as the national Cité call centre in Manchester, for example, or going through to step change. They would then come to our services and they can then benefit from the local advice and knowledge that our advisors have in the Debt-Free Southwest Partnership. And the key advantage to this system is that it allows for the client to determine how they access the service. They may still want face-to-face, and this is not designed to replace face-to-face advice. But in a world where appointments are likely to be limited for a considerable period of time going forward due to social distancing, then giving clients more remote access options through Flex will leave more appointments available for those who have no choice through either their means or their limitations on their accessibilities to access the service through face-to-face. So what I've got for you today, and hopefully the sound will be working, is a bit of a video that has been developed by our friends in London who have adopted the Flex system a little earlier than ourselves, with it coming in back in July. They've had a great deal of success with clients accessing this service regularly and readily. And as I say, rather than reinventing the wheel with a video of our own, then Matt at DFL has given us permission to be able to use this video with you today. If you can't hear the commentary, then I can only see about 4 of you, so please just wave. Brilliant, thank you, Luke. Try that again.
Hey everyone, it's Matt here from Debt-Free London. Today we're going to look at the Omnichannel platform for helping clients. As you can see on here, I've clicked Flex onto my desktop and it's loading up. It's going to ask me to sign in with my Microsoft credentials. These are the Debt-Free London credentials you use to log into the MacBook. Same
There's still no sound
password,
complete.
and I'm going to hit sign in.
Wave will put it into the chat box. Oh, it is working, lovely.
So this is Flex.
Just
For
strange,
the
I
first
can't hear
time, I'm
a
going to
thing.
enable notifications so it pops up and tells me when there's a client waiting. From here, I can see different statuses that I can set. I can say I'm available, unavailable, on a break. I'm going to say I'm available so I can start to make or accept some calls. So the first thing we will look at is incoming calls. When a client rings in, they choose if they're a new and existing client, and you can see here there's an incoming call. It says what the numbers is, and I can choose to accept that call. I'm now chatting away to that person, getting some important details, and I might need to transfer them. I can mute the call if I need to speak to someone in the same office as me, or I can transfer them to a different person. Let's have a look who's available. Oh, looks like I'm online. Now here I can either consult with that person first or do a straight transfer, but here I'm going to consult. So I'm ringing Matt, and then I can speak to him and tell him a bit of information about this client before then transfer him across. Once I'm done, I end the call and transfer it across to Matt, and I leave the call, and that's my call done. Now I might still need to type up some notes, so before I do anything, I'm going to finish up everything that needs to be done with that client, and then I can hit complete at the top. So for outgoing calls, where you need to call a client, you just go up to the keypad at the top, dial in the number that you want to call, and then hit that call button. Really simple. Once you're connected, you can use the same mute and transfer buttons as we showed you for the outgoing calls. I'll hang up. So here we have a client on our website. You can see the new Chat with Us button in the bottom right hand corner. When the client clicks on that, they're asked to put in their full name, their email address, and a contact phone number. And then hit Chat with the advisor. As soon as that happens, the bot will ask them a question: how can we help them today? Let me type in here, I need some help with some debts. Now when they've done that, let's switch to the advisor screen here. You can see that I've started a chat request. What the advisor can see is what they said they need some help with, and then the advisor can respond in that chat box at the bottom. Really straightforward and easy to follow. Then we hit send. Now sometimes it might be easy to see the client face to face, and for that we've built in video chat capabilities right in. All I'm going to do is hit this blue video camera button at the top, and that generates a link for the client to click on. Let's switch back and see how that looks on their computer. So on their computer they've got that link. All they've got to do is click on it. It opens up in a new page on their browser, and they'll be asked to hit start. As soon as I've done that, there I am. This was pre-recorded, so you can't see me speak. From the agent side, here's what they can see. They can see a call coming in. They just need to click that green button to accept the call. For the first time, you'll need to allow to use your camera and give that the OK. And then when you go to the video pane here, you'll be able to see the call. Another one we recorded earlier. Once I'm done, I'm going to hang up, unless the client hangs up before me, and hit complete. Go back to the chat just to finish it off nicely with the client. And again, hit end chat and complete when I'm done. Client screen here, they've added the Debt-Free London free phone number into their WhatsApp, and they're going to start a chat. Now Flex automatically responds, asking what my full name is, very much mimicking what we asked them on web chat. Then their email address. And then finally how we can help them today. So let's flip back to the advisor mode here. Once they've answered that last question, the advisor will get a notification that there's a client that's coming through on WhatsApp. So you can see the request coming in now. Just like before, I'm going to look at that green button to accept. When it loads, you'll be able to scroll back and see the entire conversation that they've had with the chatbot beforehand, and then start to type away. In the same way that you could with the web chat, you might want to invite the client to a video call. Just hit that blue button at the top and it generates a link that's sent automatically to the client. Switching back to the client's phone, you can see as soon as the advisor responds, it appears in WhatsApp. And there's the link. All the client's got to do is tap on that link, it opens up in their browser, give permission for their phone to use their microphone and camera, and then one touch, hit that start button. The camera connects. Here's another video we made earlier. When the client's done, they can hit that end call button and return to that. What's useful on their phone is that they can flip the cameras round so they can show you documents too. We're going to complete that call. And finish off nicely with a nice message to end WhatsApp. So that's Flex, our new omnichannel platform that will help clients through the means of phone calls, video calls, WhatsApp and web chat. I hope you agree this is a giant leap forward in the way that we can help clients in an ever-changing world, and really simple for both advisors and clients to use. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.
Okay, so hopefully that gave you all a bit of an explanation as to what happens with Flex and how it works. So what comes next? The first feature that comes next that you could actually see on the video is being used by Debt-Free London already. And that is for existing clients. The SIPTech system will automatically search for clients' telephone number on Advice Pro and be able to bring up their case record automatically on the screen for you. We don't have that ability with Casebook, certainly not yet anyway. This is also going to be a huge step forward, and we're grateful to partners Citizens Advice South Somerset and GL Communities, who are going to be the earliest adopters of this technology. The technology also allows for us to develop advice kiosks. Again, this is something that Debt-Free London are already doing, and even within our partnership, Citizens Advice North Somerset are starting to do this independently with their own Zoom booths. So the kiosk idea is that it is a secure and confidential environment, and iPad will then be placed within that, which is secured, so it cannot be taken away. And the screen is locked to the app for Flex. So only when the client is accessing it, they can only use the iPad for that purpose. This will then allow for a client to go to a community venue, possibly where outreaches have been held by our partners prior to COVID-19, and access advice securely and in a COVID-compliant environment. But it also allows for the opportunity to expand to other venues, such as job centres, libraries, council offices, housing association offices, third-party referrers, anywhere where the client is already going to seek some level of advice and to prevent them having to go to several different places. And we can be there with the kiosk availability to allow for advice to be delivered, albeit semi-remotely, all in one location. And we'll be training our trainees when they come on board after the end of their training program over the next 3 months or so. So as part of that training being delivered by the partnership, will be around how to use Flex, and they will be using Flex from the start to allow for that integration of Omnichannel across the partnership. And we can check, balance, and then see as to whether there is the success to then roll out with further advisors across further agencies in our partnership. So the second area of development is a partnership with our friends at PayPlan, a couple of whom are here today and have been with us on presentations for most of the week. So we're grateful for their time, for Alistair and Anthony to be with us. And I'm sure Alistair will be more than happy if you have any specific embarking questions at the end to be able to answer those. I can see from a smile on his face that that's definitely a yes. So we have a really good working relationship with PayPlan, and many of our partners and the partnership have this in place for several years now. And this is a really good example of us also working with our alliance partners in London, in Leicester and in Liverpool to utilise a service that PayPlan had developed and had successfully sold to leading financial institutions, and this is Embark. So what Embark does is it allows for you to get live credit reports through TransUnion with account details of a client. There's no more delay of several weeks whilst you send off for your free Experian report for a client, wait for it to come back. It might then even be sent to the client, who then has to bring it in for you. This can therefore be done more quickly. And that delay was probably even longer during lockdown, where you're having to send out the form of authority to the client to begin with. You can now all do this if the client is in the room, or potentially even do it via video chat. Alternatively, the client can also do this themselves before the appointment, because there will be access to be able to do it through our Debt Free Southwest website. So in those magical days, if they're to return, where we had waiting rooms where people were actually able to sit and wait, then clients may be, in the waiting time for their appointment, be able to access computer devices already within the advice centres themselves to be able to provide this information in readiness for the appointment. Or it might be that they utilise those few days that they're waiting between that initial call or triage and that follow-up appointment to get this information, similarly to how a debt pack is sent out by some of our partners to allow for that preparation work to be done. So it gives that opportunity as well. So we understand that there's numerous services offering something similar, such as Experian and TIP IVA. However, what Embark offers above and beyond that is also the open banking feature. So if a client is agreeable and has online banking with any major bank, then Embark allows for them to enter details, obtain a financial statement based on the details in their account. Now, this should speed up the financial statements process and go some way to improving accuracy as well. It's not the golden bullet. If clients are taking out cash each week and then spending the cash, it's only ever going to show the cash withdrawal. And it isn't going to replace the need for checking with the client, going through, doing those income maximisation, but it should save time to allow for that to occur. And we know it's not going to be for everybody. Not everybody has online banking or has access to the internet or is able to use this technology. But for those who can, let's give them the opportunity to do so. And the time saved with those who can then be utilised and spent to give more time with the most vulnerable of our clients. We're also in discussions with PayPlan and then with ACM about the desire to integrate the financial statement into Advice Pro, to allow for it therefore to go from, as I say, from Embark straight into the SFS. At the moment it's a PDF, but having that next stage of automatic integration into the case management system again is going to be a game changer with regards to the efficiency that can be saved here. So we have had another video from Alistair at PayPlan to explain the budget planner. However, I've just had the 10-minute warning pop up. So I'm going to send this one out to everybody by email, and it will be available upon our website. But just to give you a taster, then Debt Free London have mocked up how the budget planner could ideally look both on the computer and through accessing on a smartphone. So that is Embark, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of further information in the future. In the last few minutes, I want to also take the time to touch on the work that we are doing around case recording. And as I say, this is the more incremental continuous improvement. So a little bit of a potted history. So back in August of last year, I was approached by Andy Clark at Citizens Advice Bristol with an idea of developing a form to capture all of the information that is needed so it could then be passed on to the administration team at Citizens Advice Bristol to type up the confirmation of advice letter to try to save some time. This was from Andy's other experience in the IFA sector, and as such, we ran with this idea. The first incarnation of this seemed to work reasonably well. It saved, from feedback from the advisors at CAB, around 2 hours of advisor typing up time. However, it was producing probably a 12 to often 20-page letter for the client that everybody here knows that they're never going to read. And therefore, there's a barrier to them understanding the advice being given. What we then did over the autumn of 2019 is work with Cheryl at Talking Money around the case note that she'd developed over a period of time, and taking that format and working with the fact find form that was being had been developed with CAB to allow for them to marry up. We then took this development to MAPS and to Recognising Excellence over the Christmas period of 2019 to check around compliance, and we were given probably about as close to the thumbs up as we were going to get without any need for commitment whatsoever from either of those agencies. So what that left us with was a system that we could then roll out with Geo Communities, with North Bristol Advice Centre, Citizens Advice South Somerset and St Paul's Advice Centre across January and February of this year. And since that time, we've been monitoring and tweaking the way that it's been used, if not been able to tweak masses of the content itself. I do want to thank everybody involved in the development to that stage. More recently, we've been in discussion with Ed Barker at Citizens Advice South Somerset, who has a great deal more web design knowledge than I do. He has taken this fact find and case note details and put them into a HTML format to then generate the note once you enter into the details. This is a huge step forward, and we really do thank Ed for spending a lot of what is his own time outside of both work and work that's funded under this project. We've been able to run with this now and take it to the continuous improvement team at MAPS. I've met with Ben and Luke of that team, and they were hugely impressed with the work that had been done, and are currently making a case for further assistance to be provided to us to develop further. We do wait with bated breath, and I was hoping to have an update for you about that today, but alas, that's proved not to be. So where do we want to go with this in the final 4 minutes? So whilst working with Andy showed us where the savings of time could be made, and the work with Cheryl showed us around how the quality of input is going to need to remain high, Ed's work has shown us a way with the automation of the process, and we couldn't have made this process without any of them in the chain. Where we're going to go is ideally an online case recording note, accessed either through a secure area on the Debt Free Southwest website, or, and this is a really ideal scenario, is to work with ACM to integrate into Advice Pro. I'm not holding my breath on that one. Or the final option would be, it could be a standalone program similar to QBC. The process would be that the advisor fills in the fact find document with the client, and from those answers, the site or the program generates the detailed case notes that meets all of the quality requirements without the need to spend hours and hours of writing up case notes. It's likely that time is going to be needed to tailor the note so that it meets all of the client requirements and removes some of the irrelevant details, so that the skill is the communication of that advice, is getting the information from a client and communicating the advice. The skill isn't being able to write up War and Peace of a case note. Let's try and automate and take that out of the process. We also want to develop from that information a confirmation of advice letter that's no more than 2 sides of A4. So it's going to be the length that a client might actually read and understand. And then if they want the detail and War and Peace, then we can always provide the case notes to them as well. Once this is developed, then we would look to only share this with our alliance partners, just as they've shared their best practice with us over the past few months. This would be another great example of how we could then work together. And we would also then have a greater pool of capacity to ensure that this resource is then kept up to date, rather than just relying on our partnership, which is by far and away the smallest. And who knows, we may get to a stage where we have a secure area on the website, and linking this with Embark and the possibility of web chat through Flex, there could be the opportunity to use a self-help tool for the tech-savvy and competent client, meaning that there would be limited interaction with the advisor, again, freeing time up for the advisor to spend with the most vulnerable, instead of typing case note after case note after case note. That piece of work is important, but could be automated, and that's what we're trying to do. As I say, whilst this may sound like a dream, it is something that we feel can be achieved, and with the investment of time and probably money either from MAPS directly or from utilisation of underspend from across the Alliance, then I do think we can make this happen. I'm really sorry, we've only got less than a minute to go, so there's a really lot to cover, but I just want to say thank you again for your time and interest this week. We will be sending out questionnaires next week for those across the partnership, whether they were able to attend or not. But if you are not in the partnership and therefore I don't have your details, then please feel free to enter your information into the chat box so that I can address those as well. If you do have any questions or queries, then please feel free again to contact me by email.
Drew, can I ask very quickly, on Flex, you were talked about showing your phone, the client showing the phone to the screen. Does that work well so that they can show you documents on their phone? Because I did it on Zoom and it didn't work. We couldn't see